Hello, welcome. In this video, we are going to take a big picture look at the interface of After Effects, how it is divided up, and some of its key functions. This will be a rather general overview of the program because there are so many options and buttons which we will look into later, but it is important to understand how the interface works as a whole here in After Effects. Let me first list a few core items we will review and then tell a few words about them. At the top left side, we have our toolbox. Right under it, we have our project window. Right below it, on the bottom half of the screen, we have our layers with their duration, which is the entire timeline. In the middle of the screen, we have our composition, which can be also called the preview window. And on the right side of the screen, we have our configurable tools panels. With the basic After Effects layout, we have our info panel, our preview panel, most likely our effects and presets, and a few panels we have opened up ourselves. All panels which are missing can be found in Window, and you can always open them. For example, if you miss the effects and presets panel, you just click here and it will appear on the screen. I wanted to go a bit more into detail about the elements I've listed and how are they connected together. Let me start with the toolbox. The toolbox, I believe, doesn't need as much explanations as the other elements have, because on the toolbox we have items very similar to other Adobe programs like Photoshop or Illustrator. We have at the beginning our move tools, which help us to move the composition around, to select items, and to zoom in. Right after that, we have a segment of tools which is used for rotation and usage of cameras in our layers. Right after that, we have the most used After Effects tools, which are the creation tools. Here we can create rectangles, we can use the pen tool to create shapes, and of course our beloved text tool, which allows us to insert text into our composition and work from there. After that, we have our brushers, erasers, and a few other tools which we'll explore later. This is our project window, where we load up our assets, organize our project, and overall decide which items are used. What's amazing here is that if you click on any element here, you have a little preview box. This preview box not only shows you the thumbnail, so you immediately know what's going in this composition and what's, for example, going on in this solid layer. You have also the settings of a particular composition. I will of course explain with detail what a composition is, but for now you only have to understand that a composition inside of After Effects is a group of items which is pre-composed to contain all our animation and layers at once. As I click on the composition here in my project, I immediately know that it has this resolution, it has 6 seconds of duration, and its settings are set to 30 frames per second. So it's a very seamless video, and most often if you are combining all of your assets and preparing yourself for work, this is all you need to know to start using a particular item. For this composition, I used a photograph with a red background, and I organized this photo into a photos folder. If you want to organize anything here, you just drag and drop it around. I can create new folders by clicking here. A new folder could be, for example, called videos, and all my assets could be put into this folder, which will contain all the videos I want to use in my project. Everything of course can be dragged around, repositioned, put into one another. I won't use that now, I'll delete the video folder. The photos, solids and main comp is completely enough for what we have now. Now let us head over to the most important panel. The timeline holds information about all the layers we have in our project and how long the layers are displayed. As you see, by hitting this little time indicator icon, I can scrub through my entire composition and preview what is going on it. I want to see all 6 seconds at once, so you need to pull this handle to the end, and now I see the entire composition. This is a zooming in option, which allows us to go in detail if you want to edit something frame by frame. Because in video editing and animations, you want every frame to count when you are doing some project. Let me extend this back. Here we have our layers. Once a layer is selected, it will highlight in the composition panel. The composition panel let us preview what actually is happening on the screen. And a basic workflow in After Effects always looks like that. You import some assets into your project files, you put those assets here as layers, and then you start editing an animation. As you see, it turns green because it has already loaded, and now with the preview panel, I can preview what is happening on the screen. This is used to preview the animation you are creating. If you are not satisfied with the animation, just hit pause by hitting the space bar. You can shift some keyframes to change the animation, and after that it would have to load again. So let me again press on preview. And if you decided that this looks better, you could go forward and render the video. Layers on the timeline can be shortened just by clicking on them and dragging them to the position you want. If you have snapping enabled, they would snap here. Let me, for example, get rid of the text until the 4th second. I don't want to see this red text at all. This red text is the first layer. I only select the first layer and I want to get rid of it until the 4th second. So everything prior to that will not show me the red text. As I hover my mouse after 4 seconds, it finally starts to appear. Okay, let me go back because in fact I want to see the text. It's essential to this animation. Layers inside of After Effects of course follow the same hierarchy as in Photoshop. Let me show you a brief example. This is our red wall JPEG project file, which is the background. You can make the background visible or invisible by clicking on this little eyeball icon. If I would take this background and put it as the first layer, nothing else would be visible because the first layer would cover up the 3 boxes which are here on the bottom and the red text which is appearing here. Once you click on a layer element here, it instantly shows me which layer I have selected. Also, this little box indicates that this layer is in 3D space. I can turn this off or on if I don't want to move it only in the X or Y axis, but I would also like to use the Z axis to make it closer or more deep into the composition. So let me put the red wall at the bottom again. Everything is visible. You can resize each element just by clicking on it and dragging. You will get to know the interface once using the program in real life. I just wanted to show you that each component in the After Effects window can be pulled over and replaced. For example, if you are using very often the align tools, I could not use it because they don't apply to 3D layers, but let me use this now. And I would, for example, want to have the align tools here. That's absolutely no problem. Just take them, drag them over, and you see this little purple indicator shows me where this will be placed. I could even replace my entire composition with the align panel if it would be very important to me. But of course that has no sense in this case, but in some cases you want to replace certain elements so it's easier for you to edit. I want you to take a few panels and just play around with them. For example, drag the preview panel here, check out how everything looks. You can of course pull the handles and resize elements like that. And once you are done, do not be afraid. You don't have to press Ctrl Z or something to get back. You can go to the workspaces options, click on standard and just reset the standard view or explore another views which Adobe has prepared for us. For example, the minimal or the paint view. I will now go back to my standard view. I'll click on standard, reset standard. I will click yes. You can make as many workspaces as you want. You just hit here and hit new workspace. In After Effects CC, as I see my composition opened, and by the way, you can open each layer or composition by double clicking on it. For example, let me quickly make a new composition. I have comp 1 and now I can toggle between the compositions. And if I'm done editing, for example, I place a text, that text is hello, I close this composition because I no longer want to edit the hello composition. It was comp 1, it shows me hello, and I can drag this composition here because, as I told you, Compositions are just simple groups containing many informations at once, and I can use one composition nested within another composition. From here, I can resize it, I can use the rotate tools to rotate it around and do many other fun things with it. In After Effects CC, near to every composition, you have this icon with the 3 lines displayed. In this icon, we have some basic options regarding our composition. In After Effects CS6, this option is not here, it is here on the far right side. The options are the same, these are some global options which you can apply to compositions. Since this is a rather very important feature, Adobe has decided to place it right here. It takes up a bit of space, but it's really useful to have it by hand. You can undock the panels, you can run with them around, and this is all I wanted to show you about the basics of the interface in After Effects. Thank you very much for listening to this lesson. If you found it informative, please subscribe to my channel to get updates about new tutorials. My name is Pach, and this was a lesson about the basics of the interface in After Effects.